Oh boy. Hey y'all, my name's Chris. Welcome to another one of my videos. In this video, I'm only giving my thoughts on Captain Marvel. Just got back from seeing the movie tonight, saw it in IMAX. Yeah, there's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to this movie, so let's go ahead and get started. The initial thing to talk about with this movie is sort of the uphill climb this movie has had to come against because of the whole backlash going against it going in. And this movie's just been getting a whole lot of hate in terms of publicity surrounding the movie from fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and people anti-feminist, all that kind of stuff. And look, the star of this movie has not done a good job sort of promoting the movie or sort of building up goodwill. She's said a lot of comments to where it's just like, yeah, that's the type of stuff that's going to get a lot of hate. Whether it's the whole thing about how white guys shouldn't go to see the movie, or saying how Captain Marvel would beat Superman in a fight. It's just kind of this whole stuff where it's all like, man, you just trying to inflict rage going on right here. And to be honest, I really don't like that kind of stuff in terms of this whole sort of backlash going into the movie, that kind of fan reaction. Reminds me of the whole Last Jedi thing, especially when you look at the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and just like, oh man, can't we just get past this, y'all? Can't we just go in and just sort of enjoy a movie? And for me, from my perspective, I don't buy into all that kind of hate. I'm a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is another chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't let that kind of stuff sort of affect my sort of feelings about the movie going in. In fact, I had no idea what kind of reviews this movie was getting going in. I was just going in looking to see a good movie, a fun movie, and just judging this movie by itself. You take all those hateful feelings going away, all the comments that the actress has said about the movie to inflict that rage. The movie itself is perfectly fine, to be honest. Really, this movie being an origin story, the solo film, starting film for Captain Marvel, a lot of this movie sort of hinges on her. How is she in the movie? I thought that the trailers for this movie did a really poor job of selling this character. Brie Larson and her character as Captain Marvel, she just seems really sort of one note, just sort of flat. In the movie, that's not really what you get at all. Now, she's not like a jokester or nothing like that, but her performance, it is layered. There are some points where she shows that she is happy. She actually does smile, which is something that people were commenting about even from that first trailer. So she is not just a one-note character in this movie. She is pretty dynamic. She is pretty fun. Moments where she is really serious, moments where she is sort of lighthearted. And ultimately, was a character that I did enjoy. Again, she's not a jokester, nothing like that, but she was just like, okay, this is a fun hero to follow. Fun enough, anyways. The other great performance in this movie was from Nick Fury coming back, Samuel L. Jackson. It was just great to see him back again, just because Nick Fury we have not seen him since Age of Ultron back in 2015, when he had like a real role in the Marvel film, if you don't count his little appearance at the end of Infinity War. It was great to see him again. Nick Fury was really fun in this one. It might have been probably my favorite Nick Fury appearance in any of the movies. He was just really good in this one, and just the technology and just sort of the makeup to make him look younger. That was great stuff. Marvel has really just perfected the technique when it comes to making actors look younger. They did a great job with Fury in this one. Another aspect that's really cool about this movie is that it takes place during the 90s. So it's a sort of a prequel to sort of the modern day MCU that we've been following for the last 10 years. And a cool thing about prequels is so you get sort of setups for things to come sort of later on. You definitely get that in this one. And those are some of the best moments. Those are some of the best moments when you see how stuff sort of ties in to the modern day MCU. That was really good stuff right there. The movie, it being a superhero movie, I definitely got a lot of bang for my buck when it comes to the action. The action itself was pretty good. The best sequence is that main sequence we've seen from the trailers, the scene where she's punching that old woman. That whole action sequence, which that's sort of the middle of that action sequence, takes place. There's a car chase, there's a train chase, there's some fist fighting. That's some really good stuff. That was a really good sequence right there. And the action that you get throughout the film, when it's there, is pretty good, and you do have a fun time watching it. So ultimately, this was a movie that I think was definitely fun. It was good, not great, but it did still have its problems. I think the initial problem I had with this movie, watching it during like the first maybe third of it, was that I don't think this movie did a great job sort of establishing the main conflict in terms of to sort of like the casual moviegoer, someone who's not like a real sort of MCU buff. Most of the Marvel movies do a good job of sort of setting up the rules, exactly what's at stake, really explaining the story to the audience. This really didn't do a great job of that. This one involves a whole bunch of sort of like space politics and all that kind of stuff, to where it's all like, and they really just throw you into the middle of the story. So if you're really not cut up to speed in terms of sort of your comic book history or what this movie was about going in, you're really gonna kind of be lost in sort of like that first part of the movie, or sort of understanding what the main conflict is, unless you're just like super entrenched into this universe. Also, this movie, this being a prequel, it made some continuity errors in my opinion, towards all like, wait, this is just doesn't really add up. There's an object that's in this movie that has been in previous Marvel movies, and if you sort of judge it by its appearance in this movie and sort of connect it to its appearance in the other MCU movies, the ones that take place after and before, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense how things line up. I know there's probably a timeline out there somewhere where they're trying to make sense out of this, but the movie as it is on itself is kind of like, wait, that doesn't really add up. I'm not going to spoil what the whole sort of object is, but it is something we've seen in previous MCU movies, and to me, it just didn't seem to add up with what we've seen so far in the MCU. Another complaint is that something that you've heard about Marvel movies recently, as they've kept going on, is that this movie does play things kind of safe. It doesn't really stretch things to be sort of that breakthrough superhero film, sort of like how I thought like Black Panther was last year. It's like, okay, now that's groundbreaking. This really isn't sort of groundbreaking outside the fact that it's the first MCU movie to have a female lead. And to me, you don't get extra points for that. You know, a movie is a movie. I don't care if you've got a female lead or not. You don't get extra points for that. We're way past the days where it's all like, we can't have a female as our lead in a blockbuster. So for me, you don't get extra points, but it was, I guess, kind of nice to see an MCU movie finally do that. And as I said before, I thought Brie Larson as Captain Marvel was pretty good. So ultimately, this was a movie I definitely thought was good, but definitely not great. It's not the best MCU movie by no stretch, but it was a solid entry into this universe, sort of establishing who Captain Marvel was. I had enough fun with this movie, so I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. Good, but not great. I think if you go into this movie open-minded, removing all of your preconceived hate, and just judge the movie as its own, the movie itself is perfectly fine. Good, but not great. All of this hate the movie was getting just going in. Like I said, the actress just wasn't doing herself any favors. But in the movie, in the end, it was fine. There's nothing really to hate about this movie as a movie. The Last Jedi's hate I can kind of understand, because that was hate for the movie itself. This movie, the hate was more sort of predetermined going in. Obviously, if you already want to hate this movie and you're going in to watch it, then you're probably going to hate the movie anyway. So why are you wasting your money going to go see it? So that's it for this review. I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you for watching.